back in here, but not on top of the duck. Delicious.
And
Look at this.
It smells so good.
Buongiorno and welcome. I am preparing a marinade as I will be roasting a duck today and I will be stuffing it. This is some fresh rosemary which I've just picked from our garden and I'm chopping it into minute tiny little pieces. I will be adding some sage to the rosemary and again very fresh, just picked from my garden, and I'll do the same. I'll chop it in tiny little pieces. And I'll mix them together and I'll finish them off. Here is a glass bowl and I will be adding some olive oil and they can go in. This is rock salt, but you can also use normal salt if you like. And this is smoked paprika, but you can also use unsmoked or sweet paprika, whatever you like. A good generous teaspoon. And the last ingredient for my marinade is going to be some ground black pepper. And I can mix it all together now. And here is my duck. This one weighs exactly, I think is yes, 2 kilos. And I defrosted it overnight. As usual, they come with lots of plastic. It's one of those things, unfortunately, but it is what it is. And they come in the UK anyway with this bag which has got all of the internal parts. I will keep this for later and I'll tell you why. But here is my marinade and I'll put some on the inside of the duck first, which I will be stuffing, by the way. And I haven't mentioned it, but this is a video which starts here in Norfolk, which is where we live in England, and it will finish in Leicester, which is where Roberto, my son, lives. We're going to be visiting him today, and I said to him last night, oh, I'll cook something when I get there. And I said, I'll cook a duck. But of course it will take a little while, so I've decided to start it here and then I will finish it when I get to Leicester. So this is very much the beginning part, and as you can see I'm now getting all of the marinade out and I'm going to be covering the duck with it, both the top or the breast side. I'll turn it around and I'll also do the bottom. And as my hands are covered in marinade, I can also go on the inside to ensure that my marinade covers all of the parts of the duck. I will be cooking it in the oven initially, and I'm going to be using this cast iron pot here that perfectly fits in. Wonderful. And of course any remaining juices and so on, you can put them in. And before it goes in the oven, I'm going to sprinkle a little balsamic vinegar on top of the duck, but also I'll put some on the inside. This will add some beautiful sweet flavor, but also you can use white wine if you like, or a little cider vinegar. That is also very good. But quantities to taste, of course, as always. And I'll place the lid on and it is ready to go in the oven. I'll place it in for 1 hour, temperature of 180 degrees. Mine is a fan assisted oven. If you've got a normal conventional oven, 200. And then after the hour I will take it out. It will not be fully cooked, of course. Then it will cool down. We will be driving to Leicester, which is about 3 hours away. And then this evening when I get to my son, I will finish cooking it. And I'll show you what I'll do, because I will be stuffing it. I'll be using some sausages and also some other ingredients. But also this is an all-in-one meal. So I will be doing also some potatoes and some vegetables. So I'll see you later this afternoon when I'm in Leicester. Ciao ciao for now. See you later. Thanks. Bye. So Julie, I and the duck made it to Leicester, and welcome to Roberto's kitchen. The lighting is a little bit pants, but we've got to work with what we've got. And at the end of the day, what matters is the food. So the duck is over here. I'll just visually show it to you, although it's at the moment still warm though, but it's resting there nicely. So we will deal with
cup of tea, as always, everybody.
In a moment. So here I've got some, giblets.
What are they called then?
Giblet, I call them.
Giblets.
Giblets, but they're called, I call them giblets. So this is what I was showing you earlier, the internal parts of the duck. And as I said before, in the UK they come in a little bag. So you go, I think this is the neck, is that right? Yeah. And this is bits of
heart and
liver
normally, yeah. And we use it as a stock basis.
Correct.
For our turkeys and chickens and stuff.
Exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be adding a little water, not a lot, about a couple of 100 milliliters. Here, I'll show you. And I'll put this back on the hob now, and I will leave it to make it boil first. And once it starts boiling, I'll leave it to gently cook it for about 5 to 10 minutes, so that some of the juices from the giblets comes out. So I will be literally 5 minutes. And I'll start with a little soffritto next, and I'll peel a red onion. And this is the first ingredient which will be part of the filling, so I'll chop in relatively small pieces. A little amount of olive oil, not a lot, as I will be adding some sausages in a moment and they're quite fatty. And the onion goes in. Apologies, I should have said it earlier. Bay leaf, I will add it now. It's only just start boiling, so that can go in with my giblets. Gas goes on, and here's my saucepan with my onion. I got some fat juicy sausages, and I'm going to be using a couple, but I will be removing the skin, and effectively I need the mince from inside, so they can be added in to my oil and onion. And here's number 2. Actually, I changed my mind. There's 3 of us, so I'm going to be putting 3 sausages in. And here's number 3.
There's a whole duck between the 3 of us isn't enough, everybody.
And I'll mix this all together now, and the sausage will become beautiful and brown, and of course the onions will continue cooking. A little bit more rosemary, which I brought back from Norfolk, of course, and this is also some sage. And
to be fair, actually, he's got a whopping great plant of rosemary in the garden.
I didn't know that. So I'll just give them a very quick and rough chop, and they can go in with my sausages. I've got some bread, and I will be removing the crust from, this is fresh bread, so the crust is going to get in my way. Someone can have that with eggs and soldiers.
Well, we can give it to the birds.
And using my hands, I'm now making some breadcrumbs. Of course, you can put this also inside the food processor if you wish, but then there's something else to wash, and this only takes about 30 seconds. My stock is ready, and it cooked for a good 10 minutes. It's still hot, but it doesn't really matter. So I'll gradually add some of the stock to my breadcrumbs. And if you like, by the way, you can use milk if you don't want to use stock, entirely up to you. Or you can make some stock using a stock cube. It could be vegetable stock cube or pork, whatever you like, or chicken, even better. And I'll mix this together now, and I will let the bread absorb all of the lovely stock. And within 10 minutes the sausages are done, and here they are. Look, they look absolutely beautiful and they smell wonderful. So here is my bread with my lovely juice, and I will add it now to the sausages. Sausages have got a little salt already, so I'm going to be salting this, but I will be very, very mean, otherwise it'll be too salty, so that is enough. But I'm going to be a little bit more generous with my pepper. And I'm now kind of replicating what I did on the exterior of the duck this morning. So this is, by the way, my son's way of keeping paprika. So I am adding a little paprika, again, another good level teaspoon. And I'll mix everything together now, so that all of the ingredients combine together, and I'll get a nice and uniform color. By the way, look, see, this is my son's apron. He's very loyal to Tortellino. I don't think he's got a choice in the matter.
No.
And this is the consistency that you're looking for. Nothing too wet, but it can be workable and ideal to stuff the duck in a minute. And talking of which, let's have a look at the duck now. She has been traveling from
She's
Norfolk,
been a long way.
a long way, and is now a moment of glory. So I'm going to temporarily move it over here, and this can go out of the way. And can you see all of these lovely juices released from the duck earlier? This is like pure gold. And I'm now going to be building a bed of vegetables. And by the way, you can use any vegetables you've got in your fridge. This is exactly what I had in my fridge, and this is what I brought over. So you do not have to replicate this. But I would say that maybe carrots is something that you could do with adding. And I'll start by putting all of my vegetables inside the saucepan here. I've also got a courgette. I'll remove the bum and the head, and I'll give the courgette exactly the same treatment I gave to my carrot. So So fairly large chunks, so that it will cook for about an hour in the oven. So you want to make sure that you find it when it's cooked. I used the red onion to fry with the sausages, and I'm now alternating it with a white one. If I can remove the skin, that is. But with this one, I'm not going to be cutting it in small pieces. I'll leave it in relatively large chunks, like this. And in it goes. Little broccoli next. I have to say, I've actually never used broccoli in this recipe before, so I'm quite interested and excited to see what it's going to turn up like. And as I often say, make sure that you go back on your trunk, remove the outer layer, and you can also eat or cook the trunk or the parts which a lot of people unfortunately throw away. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I'm chopping in little pieces and add it in. And I'm gonna go and do the potatoes next, and I'm going to use a little trick which my parents' carer taught me when I was in Sicily. Instead of chopping them, I'm actually cutting them
Do it in slow motion.
lengthways like this. Then I'll turn it around and I'll go the other way, like so. And what happens when they cook, the juices will go inside the potato, and it will be quite interesting to see what it looks like at the end. Like this, and then this is where the cut is. I'll turn it around and I'll go this way. So the potato is still whole, but has been chopped into 4 pieces. Almost. So they're done, and I'll pick them up, skin included, as is very good for you, full of fiber, and in they go. A little bit more salt this time on the vegetables, like this, and some pepper. And I've got a little rosemary left, so I'm going to be adding that as well. And I'm going to be using my hands for this, as it's going to be considerably easier, especially as I want to make sure that all of my vegetables get covered with that lovely juice and all of the grease from the duck. That's perfect.
I think they have, yeah.
So back to our friend, she can come back. I've got a large pear here, and I'm going to be removing half. And I'll chop this one now in tiny little pieces like this. And now that my sausage and the mix has cooled down, I can safely add it to them and mix it together once again. The sweetness of the pear will pair absolutely beautifully with the sharpness of all of the other ingredients, and especially with the duck, of course, and the sausages. And time to stuff the duck, and I'm going to be using my hands, as it's going to be considerably easier rather than using anything else. I'll turn it on its head so that you can see what I'm doing. Ensure that you do push the filling down well with your finger so that it compacts well inside the duck. And here is my orange. I'll cut it in half. With hindsight, I could have done with most probably bringing over a smaller orange. I'm not sure if this is a bit of a problem going on, so let's see how it goes. Yeah, actually it's going in. A little bit of pressure, but that's perfectly okay.
It reminds me of childbirth in reverse.
I got some cookie string here, and I will be using this to secure the duck now. So I think the best thing to do is to remove it from the plate. And I'll put it here. I don't need to be a butcher to do this, just a couple of turns and a couple of notes like this on one side. And I'll do one here and another one on the back. Back to the remaining orange, and I'm going to be slicing a couple of slices like this. And I'll place one on this end of my duck, and the second one can go here. What the string will do, it will keep the duck together, but also all of the filling hopefully will stay put and it will not explode. Nearly forgot the lemon, by the way, so just a little bit of the zest from half a lemon all over my vegetables. Now Julie said to me, will the duck fit in? Of course it will. All you need to do is to ensure that you move your vegetables out of the way. But also, I do not want the duck to sit at the bottom of the pan. I want it to sit on top of the vegetables. The main thing actually is to ensure that the potatoes are out, as they will require more time to cook. So if I do that, and I'll put the duck back in here, and the potatoes around it.
My spatial awareness is not great, so that's why I was confused.
And before it goes in the oven, I'll pour some dry white wine, but not on top of the duck, all over the vegetables and the potatoes. This is about half a glass. And I'll put the lid on, and this is now ready to go back in the oven for 1 further hour. However, what I'll do for the first 40 minutes, I'll leave it with the lid on, and then I will remove the lid, and the last 20 minutes I will be adding on top of my duck a little bit of raspberry jam, and this will ensure that it will provide even more sweetness to the whole meal. Temperature, like before, 180 degrees. So I'll see you in about 40 minutes where I'll show you the jam little trick. See you soon. Oh, blimey, it's much smoke. And I'm ready to show you what it looks like after 40 or 45 minutes. So let's remove the lid. Oh.
The smell is amazing.
I'll just stab the potatoes to see if they are cooked, and they look perfect. And for the last 20 minutes I'm going to be applying a little, I mentioned before, rosemary jam, and I'm going to be picking up a large spoon, and I will be just spreading it across the surface of the duck, up here underneath the orange.
I'm getting so hungry now.
I did something similar the other day with a couple of legs. Literally, I put them in the oven, just salt and pepper, and this is duck legs, of course. And then for the last 20 minutes I thought, oh, I'll just try with this jam, and my god, that was delicious. And this is now ready to go back in the oven, and I will place it in for the last 20 minutes, same temperature, but this time without the lid, and that will make sure that everything becomes lovely and brown. See you in 20 minutes, and I'll show you what it looks like then. And it is ready, and I have to say it looks absolutely delicious.
And
look at this.
It smells so good.
So what I'll do next, I'll move it into this beautiful little serving dish, and then we can take another look. In the meantime, it needs to cool down anyway, so it's too hot and it would fall apart. And all I've got left to do now is test it, but still got some strings in there, so I'll just oh, this knife has had better days. Okay, it's beautifully arranged, has been resting for a few minutes. I'll just take a little bit from this corner, but also I want to show you some of the stuffing in a moment. As I said, the last touch of the jam makes a big difference, but it's beautiful and moist and really delicious. But if I just go in and I'll show you what the stuffing looks like, and I'll take a little taste of that, and then we better go and eat. Oh, look at that, Junie.
Don't tempt me, I'm so hungry.
Oh, the pear, everything is so beautiful. It's to die for, honestly. Try and let me know how you get on, and it's absolutely delicious. Arrivederci, buon appetito, and thank you for watching. Ciao.